Yo, what is going on, guys? It's your boy AA on 2for20, and I'm bringing you guys my ICBA Week 6 game versus JohnnyGB Coach of the Oregon Duckletts. Now, I know we came off of a very tough loss last week, and I can't promise this will be any better. So this week, I brought Ludicol-Oh, Nidoqueen, Totemaru, Pelipper, Blaziken, and Caxern. And Johnny, of course, has a very terrifying team. His team consists of this week Thundurus-I, Alolan Muk, Dawnwing's Necrozma, Gourgeist, Kyurem, and Ribombee. So a couple things to note in the matchup. One, it's a little bit scary of a matchup because my opponent does have Ribombee, of course. That means there's going to be webs, and webs are a little terrifying for my team, especially allowing things such as maybe Dawnwing's Necrozma to be able to sweep easier. And also Thundurus has Defiance, so in case if I try and defog them away. As I believe my only hazard removal in general on my team is defog, let alone on this draft of the team. So that was very difficult to work around. Also, one other thing is that I'm relying on all of my low tier mons this week. They are low tier mons for a reason. And especially things such as, for example, Cacturne is my dark type. It's my one psychic immunity to stop Dawnwing's Necrozma from literally ripping my team a new one. I have Mega Metagross is a psychic resist, sure, but it's Psychic Ghost, and my Mega Metagross loses the match for every time, no matter what moveset I had. So a ton of things were really pressured. For example, Johnny, as you see, has a ton of ways around eventually me bringing Mega Metagross. That was the one that was very pressured this week. He didn't even bring all of his answers, and like he had a couple of other things in the back that I'm forgetting off the top of my head. So like Mega Metagross couldn't come to this matchup. I could not bring Barbaracle. The main reason just being that Barbaracle doesn't really do much this matchup unless if I get set up and his team pressures it in terms of setting up a lot. I could not bring Goodra just because Goodra didn't really hit anything well, and things such as like a Curse Muk, for example, saw a potential Earthquake spread or even like a mixed spread from happening, and he has ways around Goodra as well, such as Kyurem. My team also has like no ways around Kyurem with Life Orb. My best way being like a Spidef Ludicol-Oh, I guess. But like, or actually, I guess my best way would have been Comfey, as I had Comfey this week. But even then, like Comfey just couldn't come to this matchup for, again, somewhat obvious reasons. So yeah, my team is a little bit workshopped, I guess, in terms of I just threw the 6 usable mons this week together, and that's sort of it. My team doesn't have great ways around Johnny's team. It also kind of sucked because, as you can see, for example, like Johnny has all these really like high point mons, and I sort of mentioned this like a couple days ago in the ICBA chat, but it's something I kind of want to mention here just in my video before I forget to at the end of the season. But something to mention is, for example, when you do have an S tier mon in ICBA, you get those it's out of your free pick. You still can get a Mega with that if you want. So it's not like, for example, P4G Next Gen where it's either a Mega or an S tier. So that does start to end up leading to some problems. For example, I have an S tier Mega, so not only does it cost 240 points, but it also takes up my Mega slot. So whereas Johnny has 160 points left, he gets still 3 free picks with that, and he can still get like a tier 1 Mega. I only can have a Mega, and then I have 4 free picks to make, and I don't get any extra points for losing my Mega slot. So that's a little bit problematic in terms of, like, for example, this match right here, as it means my team is very low tier stacked, and I'm really banking on low tier power in my entire draft. I think I might have covered this in my draft analysis, but it's something I definitely want to mention here. It sort of leads to very unfavorable matchups such as this one, where especially if like my S tier Mega Metagross can't come because of things such as Alolan, Muk, Dawnwing's Necrozma, and Gourgeist, for example, making it a ridiculously unfavorable matchup for it, it sort of fucks over my whole team. So I already talked to Johnny about this. It'll be fixed for next season, but it's sort of just something I want to cover here, I guess, while it's on my head. It's also sort of why I think I mentioned it last match, but I really don't like this team, mainly because I'm dependent on things such as Ludicol-Oh every week in, week out. Even though this isn't even like a rain team, I depend on rain pretty much every week because of the fact that, I mean, rain's like a low tier option to do well. Like if I can get, for example, Pelipper was a tier 3 pick, I believe, and Ludicol-Oh was a tier 4 pick. So that didn't cost much points, and it's a very solid core. But you can't just get the best mons in every tier and just hope that you can get a bunch of like really top tier 5 months because other people are drafting. And other people also could potentially run into that same issue that I had. Or even then, other people, I mean, it's an S tier league, so you're going to get lower tier picks sooner rather than later anyway. But, you know, having the points to have accommodated for a tier 1 Mega, which essentially would cover a tier 1 spot, those 180 points in terms of 4 free picks would have gone a very long way. I could have gotten like better dark types, such as maybe like a Weavile, which, especially in this matchup, that would have helped a lot, having, you know, a really solid dark type. But anyway, I've done enough rambling about this. This is an AA round for 20 bit, of course, so you know there's going to be a lot of rambling. But yeah, let's get right into the match. So over here, I'm sort of predicting Johnny's probably going to have led with his Rabombi, mainly because if he can get up webs early on, he sort of just wins. He actually decides to lead off with Thundurus here. Not overly bad in terms of what I led off with, because I did lead off with my Nidoqueen, of course. I figured I can get up some Stealth Rocks versus his team. It helps a lot overall. I could also always go for like an Ice Beam, for example, or really just a coverage move to hit this thing, I guess. However, he does have the Psychic on my Stealth Rocks, so that proves to be a little bit problematic. I figured that maybe he was like a Scarf variant, maybe just trying to play around my team in general, but I figured he might have also very well just been like a Specs variant as well. So at this point, he does of course switch in his Kyurem here, and I go for a Sucker Punch because I'm actually physical offensive with Sucker Punch, Poison Jab, and Earthquake as my other moves. Great way around things such as Dawn Wings potentially. I figured that I kind of was just gonna sack because I don't have great Psychic switch-ins, and had he not been choiced, he could have always like U-turned on my character, and I lost that. So at this point though, I do have to switch in Kingdra though on the Kyurem, as I figured I kind of want to just get up Rain before this thing starts like getting up a sub, and of course I already got up a sub, but had I went for Sucker Punch there and he got up a sub, it was a free sub anyway. If I went for an Earthquake there, depending on how bulky he was, I might not have even broken it because I don't have a ton of physical offense necessarily. So I was really worried about just not breaking the sub. So I do bring in Pelipper here. I figured I can always go for a Tailwind. Maybe just sack off Pelipper and just try and sweep with Ludicol-Oh, I guess, at this point. Because now that I do have a Rocks up, Ludicol-Oh can do really well in this matchup, to be honest. As long as I hit all my moves, Ludicol-Oh like wins the game, to be honest. So I go for a Surf here. I figured Surf in the Rain could do a decent amount of damage, maybe even break the sub depending on how invested he is. Sadly, we are not able to break the sub, and he's just able to get off another Ice Beam here. I figured that I kind of am in trouble, to be honest, in general, because his Kyurem is behind the sub, and I don't have anything I can safely bring in, because since he does have the sub up, of course, I can't just bring in Blaziken because he can always go for Earth Power, and he's only getting HP back by the second, so already I'm in a very, very back position, if you will. I'm going for Roost here, of course, because I'm going to take less damage from his Ice Beam in general as I lose my Flying typing, and also I can get myself up enough HP to potentially beat his Kyurem, maybe, because I don't really have any other options, I guess, at this point. I sort of need the sub gone before I can bring in Blaziken or Ludicol-Oh, because otherwise I sort of get fucked over by whatever coverage move he would go for. And yeah, it's sort of the position I'm in right now, I guess. So I go for a U-turn here. I figured I could try and maybe break the sub, hopefully, at this point. And luckily we actually do end up breaking the sub. And I decide here there's only really one mon I can go into, I guess, and that being my Togedemaru. I didn't think he would have predicted my switch, but he actually did, and he KOs my Togedemaru. I figured this is also probably one of the more expendable mons of my team, because of the fact that Togedemaru really only helps with this, and also with the Dawn Wings Necrozma. However, it definitely does suck to lose it, because that was one of my better answers. And now Tailwind and Rain is gone, so I probably made a really awful switch there, because now Ludicol-Oh will be outspeeding Kyurem, and he always make me sub. But he actually goes for an Ice Beam instead here. It still does a fair amount of damage, to be fair. It does just about a 2-hit KO. So depending on rolls, I might be able to live, but I don't anticipate I will because of my luck. I went for an Ice Beam here, predicting he would switch into maybe like a Thundurus, or even if not a Thundurus, like a Lowland Muk, and I figured maybe I'd get off Freeze, or Gorace as well would have been another option. I do have to switch out here though, of course, as he does end up being able to kill me at this point, and I need Ludicol-Oh really badly for later on in the game. So I bring in Kingdra here. I figured that I can always just sack off Kingdra to the Ice Beam, hope he maybe kills me off, and then I can just bring in Ludicol-Oh and try and go for as much kills as I can, because I really just need kills at this point, because this Kyurem is kind of terrifying for the rest of my team, and I 100% lose if I cannot kill it off, because, well, I mean, technically I'd lose if I couldn't kill something off regardless, because that's not winning, but point is, Kiram kind of fucks over my team. So I just need to sack Pelipper at this point and bring back in Taco Tuesday, because, as I said, it's sort of my last hope, I guess, at this point, because otherwise I just lose 100%. So I bring in Taco Tuesday, of course, at this point. I am hoping that he doesn't think I Focus Blast, because of course I did go for the Ice Beam last time. Maybe he thinks that's the best move I have to hit him, and of course he does dodge, and he goes for Ice Beam and kills off my Ludicol-Oh. So now I have lost my last really reliable way to break this Kiram, because while I could always bring in Blaziken, I could always just go for my fighting type move to hit this thing. It's not necessarily going to, one, it's not necessarily going to hit, and two, he outspeeds me as of right now because I'm not Scarfed. I believe I am an Agility spread this week, if I remember correctly. So here he does bring in his Gourgeist, of course. Very, very smart play on my opponent's part, as of course he's not only going to switch this in, he's also going to Frisk me, and he is going to luckily let me set up an Agility here. So Blaziken is luckily going to be able to get to the +2 speed that I need to put in work versus him. I'm going to go for a Flare Blitz here, of course, as it's sort of my only way to hit the Gourgeist, and I don't exactly want to switch in Nidoqueen at this point in the game, because if I sack Nidoqueen right now, I sort of lose my last way around Dawn Wings besides already being a +2 speed, and I guess also Cacturne, but Cacturne's sort of a safety. I just want to have it in the bag, just safe no matter what, and also because I figured that once Rain goes, I can probably kill off the Gourgeist between the second Flare Blitz and the first one. So I'm just going to click Flare Blitz again, as he actually goes for a Shadow Sneak here, so between the Toxic and the Shadow Sneak, he is going to have worn me off a decent amount, and Toxic damage is of course only going to rack up at this point, though Blaziken is sort of a sack. I can't just bring it in and set up again at this point in the game, because my recoil is already a decent amount, and of course between the Shadow Sneak and Poison, I literally die to like rocks if he got them up at this point with Dawn Wings plus another Flare Blitz, for example, which is my move of choice versus the Dawn Wings, of course. So I'm just going to click Flare Blitz at this point. I figured if I can get Dawn Wings out of the way, it at least helps my ego a little bit, I guess, because Dawn Wings is a very, very terrifying mon, and luckily we do burn it, so I don't even need to like Sucker Punch kill it, and luckily I didn't just let Dawn Wings sweep my team and lose 5-0. So he does, of course, go for the Moongeist Beam here, which is very unfortunate for me, of course, as it is going to allow Johnny to kill off my Blaziken, though to be fair, I would have died to Poison anyway, so it didn't really matter, but it sort of just sucks, I guess, that I had to die in general, because Blaziken was sort of my last hope at this point, because Nidoqueen and Cacturne cannot 1v1 the Kiram unless if I get extremely lucky and somehow like get to +2 attack on my Cacturne, because otherwise I cannot kill the Kiram. If I'm not mistaken, 2 Sucker Punches does not kill. I also need to get predictions right in general with Sucker Punch, because he'd always just go for the Roost that he revealed here, or even just a sub. I actually predicted he was going to go for the sub, and that is why I clicked Earthquake, as had I not, then I would have been fucked over. So I go for the Earthquake here, of course, and it's going to do a fair amount of damage, nothing insane, but it's about a 3 at KO, which is nice, but of course I'm going to lose HP because I'm not Earth Power, so the Sheer Force is not negating my Life Orb. And not only that, but also the fact that he's able to outspeed me anyway and just kill me with Ice Beam. So I go for the Sucker Punch here, figured he's going to clear Ice Beam here. There's no use in him Roost stalling because he's just baiting for crits at that point, just trying to fish to full until he gets off the Life Orb. And that would play him in Greater Range of Cacturne, and that is very scary for him. So at this point, of course, I sort of just need to get to +2 attack with my Cacturne. It's my only chance of winning. If I get to +2 attack, I actually could very well win the game, because at +2 attack, I could kill a lone Muk with my high horsepower. I can beat the Kiram with a Sucker Punch. I can kill her Bombi with a Sucker Punch, and I can kill Thundurus with a Sucker Punch. Sadly, though, he clicked Ice Beam like a man instead of just trying to maybe Roost versus me, predicting I would click Sucker Punch, and wins the game. So, very good game to Johnny, of course. You guys can check out his channel along with all the other ICBA coaches linked in the description below. If you guys did enjoy, leave a like down below. My next week is up against Dominic, coach of the New Jersey Noggin and Dells. I think I'm essentially out of playoffs at this point, so I'm still going to try, but I don't... if I lose, I'm definitely out of playoffs, because there's no way I'm going to make it 4 and 6. But my teams are... I'm going to put a little less time in my teams and focus more on D-League, because that's sort of where my priority is, I guess. Mainly just because that's That's sort of the one league I still have playoff contention in that I upload for, because MPL I'm definitely out of playoffs for. You'll see why tomorrow. And this I am practically out of playoffs for. So, yeah, I'll see you guys next week when we take our Dom. Hopefully it's a fun game. I will see you guys then. Peace out.